Hell, you couldn't watch too. Dreamed awesome.
Welcome to the Rendez-View, the show where we cover real talks, hot goss, and whatever tickles your pickle. Please welcome to the studio, Miss Mercury Wild.
Bonjour, hello, konnichiwa.
And also, Venus.
Hola. I guess we're saying hi in different languages today.
And I am Tiffany Morgan. Hello.
Hello? Yeah.
The bananas and ananas?
I don't know.
Anana. Did you guys ever have that program to watch in school? They'd like wheel the TV in, or Tiff, they would wheel the, I don't know, obelisk in, and they would play the pineapple, the French pineapple video, but it was called Ananas or Telefrancais, something like that. Did you ever see that little French pineapple in school?
Sorry, I did say ananas, but I meant the bananas. But yeah, ananas, I remember
Because see-
ananas.
Ananas is a pineapple. I know that one.
Says so on all the cans of pineapple I buy. So, welcome to Canada. Welcome to Canada.
Welcome.
Oh my word! So you were forced to watch that in public school? That was your French
girl.
education, wasn't it?
That was our French education because we had such a great French teacher who would like every other day just roll in a TV, pop in a tape, and that was the lesson plan for the day. And sometimes it was like a sing-songy one, and then sometimes it was this, the French pineapple. But you know, TV day when you were a kid was like the best because you got to basically just fuck around and do absolutely nothing, right?
Yeah. I love movie days where Littlefoot, The Land Before Time. That just,
That was way after your time. Don't even pretend.
I was there at the filming.
They didn't call it The Land Before Time. They just called it The Land.
Oh my God. They're making fun of me because I happen to be the oldest one here. But not by much. Not by much. I still, have all my faculties. Most of them. I have to make this screen a lot bigger for me to be able to read these things. Oh wait, it tells me I have to plug things. Oh girls, it's Pride Month. What's going on?
It's Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month, ladies.
Yes, happy Pride Month, bitches.
Ladies, gays, theys, the in-betweens, everybody. We're all inclusive here.
Absolutely. And you're watching The Rendezview. So I just
Episode
wanted to...
4.
Episode 4. I know. I missed an episode of recording. I'm totally regretting that. Because it happens to currently be the '1 video watched out of all the episodes.
It sure is. It's sitting pretty at what, 25 views?
That's a record. That's a record.
I'll take it.
But I want to plug that I'm going to be streaming live on Twitch on my Twitch channel. Kings of Pride Extravaganza 1999. So we found this film of a drag show from 1999, clearly. And I'm going to be airing that live on my Twitch channel. So that's Wednesday, June 9th, and also on June 17th. So check that out on T-Show Facebook page or on my website, tiffany.com, or on dragshow.ca. But I'm hoping you ladies are going to be watching it.
Wow.
I think we just might. I don't know. What do you think, Venus?
I probably have plans, but I can maybe move them.
Sorry. What's the date again, Tiffany?
Wednesday, June.
I'm busy. I'm busy that day.
She's washing her hair that day.
That's an all-day event. No, actually, we will be there. We will be watching, and then on our next edition of the Rendez-View, we're actually going to be having a little discourse about it, aren't we?
Discourse?
Discourse, is that not the word? Like,
Discussion. We're going to talk about it. We're
discussion.
going to talk about it. Yeah.
We're gonna be like do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and a little bit of that.
But I'm really looking forward to it. Like, the world needs to watch it because it's there's amazing drag performers there. Chris Edwards is in there, Rest in Power, a famous drag queen performer from Toronto. My drag mother, Jazz Morgan, hosts it. So, and we have the Men in Black, which is a local drag king troupe, and they've been around for a long time too. And it's kind of nice to see some diversity there. But yeah, so thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
Wasn't that nice?
So
it's almost hard to believe that it's already Pride Month and it's already June now, right?
I know. Second COVID Pride. Like, here we are.
No, I think all that means is that next year Pride Month is going to literally be like an all month long event. We're going to be doing something every single day, and then you will not see one homosexual or one ally for the entire month of July because we're going to be in recovery. We're going to be putting our pieces back together after what I am sure will be a month long extravaganza, catching up for the 2 full years that we had to unfortunately miss out on how we normally celebrate Pride. But, on the light side of things, it does seem like the world is starting to kind of open back up and breathe like she once did again. So fingers crossed.
Yes.
Deep breath, girls.
Keep getting the vaccination.
Exercise.
All right, well, ladies, so we're talking about Pride Month, and traditionally, with Pride Month comes a lot of body shame for ourselves. We're like, I don't have my Pride bod, or you then deflect to someone else. You're like, they don't have their Pride bod, but those sort of things. So body image. So, Mercury, do you have any thoughts about that? Or?
Well, I think we're just going to dive right in today because this is a juicy topic, and this is something that I think all of us have, quite a bit of experience, either in a negative or a positive way, about like how you see yourself, and then also how you think people see you, and I think as a queer human being, that comes into like a pinnacle, an apex, a peak, in Pride Month. So I don't know about you guys, but have you ever thought to yourself, like, because within the gay community, we have all these different subcategories, right? We have all these different labels and ways that we identify ourselves or that other people identify us. What do we think about, kind of in general, all of these subcategories and labels and how it might impact somebody's, body image, their the weight of their body image or their experience at Pride? I'll throw it to you first, Tiffany.
Well, that is quite a question. So you're kind of talking, I think you're kind of talking about, if I can paraphrase, like all those subtypes where we're like, bears, twinks, chubs, otters and all that kind of stuff, where they tend to be associated with like sexual preferences sometimes too. But it definitely comes to like a body image. And then it's something that they identify as. It's a self-identification sort of thing. So those stereotypes have been there forever and a day, and I don't know if we will ever be able to get rid of them per se. But I find it frustrating, especially when you're a new queer, right? When you're first coming into the scene and stuff, and then suddenly you're like, okay, you have to choose a camp. Are you going to be muscle queen or whatever like that, or you're going to be like a bear or whatever. And neither do these social circles. Like here we are already a small, a small gay men kind of group, and then we subdivide, and then they don't talk to each other, sort of thing. So there's some negativity to that. Yeah, I don't know what to think about it. I know personally, when I think about myself, I don't feel like I fit into any of those kind of groups things, right? So
Right.
I don't know. People obviously try to put me into them, but I don't see myself with that at all. So
What would you say, if you're comfortable saying, are the kind of subcategories that you think people peg you as, or that you fall into the most?
well, what do I? It used to be twink. I I was actually kind of proud of that one. It used to be twink, but now it might be bear or something like that. I don't know if drag queen is its own kind of. It seems a little. It's not really necessarily that kind of identity, I suppose. But yeah, I think some people, just assume that I'm a bear, but I don't speak bear. I have no idea.
Right.
What about you, Venus?
Well, I didn't get to answer the first question.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Back to you, Mercury. Back to you.
Yeah, well, just like to go back into the first question, or well, like, and then answer that one. I think there is like a bit of like when you're first coming to Pride, it is very confusing because you're also still trying to understand yourself and how you fit into the community. So I think it's really hard for people because they're having like this identity crisis. With like, I don't know who I am. They're probably just recently gay, and they're trying to find like a community to fit into. So I think like there's positive and negatives to it, because I think like if you don't find a community, it can be like very, very hard for you. Also, if you find a community and you don't really feel like you belong to that community, but you're just being there to like be a part of something. So, but like at the same time, being a part of a community, and like a smaller community and a larger one, is like really like you can find people that are very like you, and that you can like have friendships with, and like relationships with, and like people that understand like who you are as a person. So yeah, I think it's like there's good and bad to it. As for what people think I identify as, I would say that I think they probably just see me as queer, which is like a very broad label. I think like when I was younger, they would say that I was probably more on the femme side, and I would say that they would probably see me as like more maybe queer, otter, like kind of somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think for me, like the way that I feel like these subcategories impact people's experience at Pride, kind of like to what Venus said, is that in a good way, you can find your tribe, you can find your club, people that either do identify the same way as you or share the same body type as you, and then you kind of find comfort in that. But then it can also be on the flip side, because everything has a flip side. It can be very kind of isolating when you kind of don't fall into one of them, or you're having a hard time getting into one of them, and you see all these groups that are like packed up, and you're like, oh shit, like we're in high school again, or we're in middle school again, and I'm picked last, like that kind of thing, right?
Preach, girl.
No,
Preach.
I think it's one of those things where like when you're trying to find labels in the community, it's all about finding that validation for yourself as a queer person or as a LGBTQ person. So navigating the whole like community like scene is like it's so scary sometimes.
Yeah, it can be a little bit like isolating if you don't kind of find your rhythm, right?
Mm.
I feel like in a way I like to think that I'm like above this, or I don't really care too much about this, but truth be told, I honestly do. When it comes time for Pride Month to roll around, I start getting very self-conscious about what my body looks like, and if I need to start doing things to either slim something down or to tone something up because I want to dress a certain way or I want to wear a certain thing, but I'm afraid that I'm going to face some judgment or some shame when I go to Pride. So my question is, have you ever heard of the term Pride body? And have you ever kind of felt like, you weren't ready for Pride because of what your body looked like?
Yes, I've heard the term pride body. It's a very popular term here in Toronto. I definitely have had some, yeah, like I've been self-conscious about my body going to Pride sometimes. And I think it's just because, you see like the perfect gay man, you see like this male physique you see on all these magazines, and he's like this perfectly chiseled, beautiful body, and you're like, oh, like that's the guy that like all the guys want, and that's what like people like strive to be. But like you just those bodies are like not as realistic to attain as like they make you think they are. Usually it's like based on genetics and like a lot of hard work and working out. But I think it's one of those things where it's just like there's just so many things to compare yourself to in gay media that it makes it really, really hard to like look at your body and feel confident in who you are going into Pride. Just because there's not a lot of representation for different bodies. And I think that's one of the ones that like, if you don't see your body out there, then like, how are you supposed to know if you like, how are you supposed to feel confident in yourself? So, yeah.
Definitely. And well, especially at Pride, every poster of, a sponsor or, the people that are on the floats that are, front and center are these like perfectly chiseled, hairless, 6 foot tall, like not an ounce of body fat on them. And it seems to be that like, we see like Fenty Beauty, let's say, they're using models of all shapes and sizes in like their lingerie campaigns. But then when it comes to things that are specifically for Pride and specifically in queer media, it seems like we are still so stuck on like, nope, people don't want to see that. Does she have roles? Does he have roles? Do they have body hair? Nope, people aren't going to want to see that. We're going to need the 6 foot tall, Greek god to be on the campaign for,
right on
like the Pride version of Smirnoff.
Right on that campaign truck, yeah.
Well, it's it's one of those things where it's like do you remember when Drag Race Canada had the pit crew and they were like, ooh, they have a bigger male like pit crew member? And it's like, well, like, yeah, he's a bigger male pit crew member, but like you basically still are like advertising 2 different body types on there. You know what I mean? And there's like so many people in between that. So it's I don't know, just not a lot of representation within those like advertisings and like.
Wow.
So how about you, Miss Tiffany? Same question. Have you heard of the term, and have you ever felt like your body was not ready?
Pride body, and how I see it is that people who want to feel their best and want to look the best, and the Pride outfits, which tend to be just in the men's scene, they tend just to be underwear. So
a little bit of this, a little bit of this.
The smallest underwear.
So you really have to, when you have less clothing, you kind of have to show things off a little differently. Maybe a little foundation there too, girls. Even for those like big old muscle queens and stuff like that, they may put a little foundation on. Get the hair coiffured and stuff like that. I do remember. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but I remember
That's okay.
going to. So
it'll get cut in post.
It'll get cut in post. I remember going to circuit parties in the early 2000s and stuff like that in Toronto, and I remember going shopping with some friends of mine, and I was definitely like not part of like the physical type as them. But they were shopping for their white T-shirts that they can put into their back pocket because you only come in for 5 seconds with the white T-shirt and then you take it off and then you put it in your back pocket. I don't really, but anyway, they were shopping for that. But yeah, like the Pride body, I've never really felt the pressure, but you do sometimes. You definitely do feel. Well, especially when I was a younger gay, in Toronto or something like that, people would judge you. People would like because I was hanging out with these twinks and these like slightly muscly guys going to the circuit clubs, and I was not like, I was not that type. And you did get some judgment. You did get some judgment on that. So I have heard of it. Um, yeah. Try not to feel the pressure.
Outside of just like your physical body, or do you feel like there's a shaming issue about what people wear to Pride, or how people choose to express themselves at Pride? Tiffany, why don't you go first?
Well, welcome to the gay community. Sometimes we're cutthroat amongst ourselves. Like you already have that pressure of your own thoughts and stuff like that, your own low self-esteem or something like that when it comes to your body or it comes to your image. But then, yeah, there used to, like, I'm not too sure nowadays. I will freely admit I have come to an age where none of this really matters too much anymore. Amen. Hallelujah. But I still have, personal, image problems and stuff like that myself. But I don't really bother with that at all. But yes, there are the image issues. Like I remember there being, especially in the club scene, it wasn't just like, make sure that you have the abs or the shoes or something. It was the clothing, you had to have
Right.
some sort of designer labels or something like that. Oh my God. When I was first going to the club scene, it was all about these torn up jeans from Guess. These Guess jeans and stuff like that. And when you're a twink in Toronto at 20 years old, working at a Starbucks and working at a Pan Chandro or whatever like that, you had two jobs, and all half the money was going towards the damn jeans. Yeah. Thank you, Mercury. Bring it back trauma.
You?
Bring it back.
What
trauma.
about you? That's what we're here to do, right? That's what we're here to do. Venus, how about you?
I don't. I don't think it's so much about Pride necessarily as it is just the community in general.
Right.
Like I mentioned earlier, I think we have like there's an idealized body type, and I think it pushes unrealistic expectations on a lot of people, and I don't think that's fair. And I think it like causes I think just that in itself, like like it brings out things like no fats, no femmes, and like all these other body types, and it just like that in itself is shaming. And
Yeah.
so like when you don't give recognition to those, it just like it's not necessarily shame, but like it's not anything better.
It's like exclusion almost, right?
Yeah, I think I think it's a whole community thing, like all year round, and then like at Pride, it's like especially evident because that's when like everyone's like it's spring and everyone's revving up to get their revs.
Yeah.
Or they're not sponsoring us.
This is not a sponsored.
not sponsored. Yeah, so I think it's just like it just becomes more apparent at Pride, which is very unfortunate because that's the time that a lot of people want to celebrate and like fit in with their friends, and like it's also the time that like people get like feel left out. So
Yeah, I feel like we're seeing this problem, especially recently. I've been seeing a lot of articles about it where there's a lot of like kink shaming happening at Pride. So I think that there is a weird problem that kind of almost like transcends just what your physical body looks like, and it's kind of like your body plus what you have on, and if they both aren't kind of up to par to what the standard is, you're opening yourself up to even way more criticism. And it's just like, if not here at Pride to put these things on display and be as free as you want, then where, right? And that is just one of the things that I think we need to get over. We need to move past. We need like people who are expressing as much kink as they want, people who are, you know, fully naked and don't have the perfect body, people who are covered from fucking neck to fucking ankle and still like that is the way that they express pride and not feeling like they have to, you know, be naked or be showing it in any other way. It's just like, let people live, let people do what they want at Pride. And if you feel like commenting on somebody's appearance and it's not in like a yes, you look so good kind of way, take yourself somewhere else.
We all need to have pride in our bodies, okay? Like, yeah, and it's like one of those things where it's like you need to feel proud of it. You need to feel confident in your body, because if you don't, it really impacts your self-esteem, and that can really affect your mental health. Like I know, like people like I remember there was a time when I had like gained weight, and you guys are like, oh my god, what? No, but like, you know, it doesn't matter how much I gained. But the fact is that I saw my body and I was like, oh, I don't feel like myself anymore. And you know, it was like one of those things. Like I was a bit depressed, and then that would just cause me to do other things, like eat more. And it was like one of those things where it's like a downward spiral. So I wouldn't say I was necessarily spiraling down at that moment, but like, you know, like these things can add up and it can really affect people. So like that kind of brings me like to my next topic, or our next conversation around mental health, and that is, was there ever a time?
Look at that segue. Ooh, the transition. Hello.
Was there ever a time when your body image caused a lot of stress for you in your life? And this can be around pride, and this can be like emotional or physical stressors.
You know, I'm going to answer this slightly differently, because I can't really think personally of a there are things about my body that definitely like held me back, I think, you know, because I was so worried about it. It kind of held me back. And those are still there. Those are still there. But I'm thinking that I feel like they're slowly, you know, coming off me, sort of thing. Like, you know, getting into, I think that's true for a lot of people, like, you know, getting into a pool, and because, you know, you're with men, you're supposed to be in like a, you know, swimsuit or whatever, like, you know, and just exposing yourself. Plus, you know, I am so freaking white that any sunlight on my skin just causes it to just get crispy. But I'm just thinking too, like when I was like I said, like, you know, going into the clubs and stuff like that, I was hanging out with a lot of the twinks, and I was quite surprised at how many people had uh, uh, complete disorders and stuff like that. Like I had this one friend of mine who he was rake thin, but he would grab the skin around his belly button and be like, see how fat I am. And it wasn't a joke. He thought he was fat. Even though he was all of like, you know, 50 pounds sort of thing. And I think that impacted me, like just seeing that, you know, that culture and stuff like that. We always joked around that, oh, lunch was a lettuce leaf and a half cup of couscous. But
oh, wow. We're really going crazy today.
Very filling, very filling.
And a gulp of air to wash it down.
Exactly. So yeah. Thank you, Venus, for again bringing up trauma. Thank you.
Well, with that said, Mercury, you can go next.
We'll put a trigger warning before this episode for anyone. Maybe
black it out and like be like trigger, like, you know.
Yeah. So times that my body image is okay, I can think of one, and this is going back to my kind of like early to mid teenager years when I was a competitive dancer. Yeah, so I remember there was a costume fitting one day, and it was like for nothing crazy, but it was like kind of like a tight tank top and these kind of like really tight tights, and It was like you're supposed to be all these different colors, and it was a big group, and everybody, to my eye, looked great in their costumes. And I remember trying it on, and all I could look at is I turned to the side, and I just saw like my stomach sticking out, and like my legs weren't as toned as the other dancers. And I can remember having like a panic attack, not wanting to go upstairs and show people what I looked like in my costume, because I was like, I'm the only one that looks like this. And looking back, I was like, you know, I was an overweight child / teenager, but I think I had really bad body dysmorphia at the time, that I saw myself as way heavier than I actually was. And then that's kind of stuck with me to now, where like I can think of as recently as Venus and I made plans to go to the beach. The first thing that came into my mind was how I was going to be so uncomfortable taking my shirt off in front of people, and how I wasn't ready. And I kind of started like stressing out about that, about like, oh my God, what am I going to wear? And then I was just kind of like, girl, like, just go, just do it, get some sunlight and get over yourself. But yeah.
No, absolutely. I think it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, we get into our head about it, and like we forget to realize that, you know, other people are actually going through this as well. We're not alone when we think of it, when we think these things, and when we're like feeling that, like, you know, that like, oh. And like even myself, like I think like I would definitely just say like probably around Pride is most like one of the most times that I usually feel really body self-conscious, and definitely like would be definitely like summer in general, because that's when we're like wearing like, you know, we're not wearing like, you know, our like bunches of layers that like we can hide ourselves and everyone can like see what we're wearing, and see our bodies underneath. And yeah, I think it's definitely like summertime is usually like the time where like, okay, like you have to think smart about what you wear, because I know for like myself, I have like negative body image triggers, and like that's like, you know, when I put on clothes that like don't quite fit me right, or if I put on anything that's like low rise, because like I have this really obsessive thing about proportions, and like I know that like my body, my torso is longer and my legs are shorter. So if I put on something, so in my head, if I put on something low rise, it makes my torso look really long, and I don't like that. So it's one of those things where I'm like, you know, I'm constantly thinking about like that when I'm buying clothes, and like usually when I like try to like you know deal with it, it's like the clothing is like one thing, but like, you know, if it's like maybe you put on an old shirt you haven't worn in a while, and it's like, oh, like, well, this shirt doesn't fit anymore, and then like all of a sudden you feel that again. So it's like, how do you deal with that? Like, how do people deal with that every day? And like realistically, we don't face that every day, but like, yeah, have it like, Shane, for you instance, what would you do if like you had a negative body image trigger and you were like how would you go from there?
Mercury.
Like, right, like, yeah. Who did you direct this question to?
Shane, he's not here right now. I don't know where that came from.
Shane's our technician.
Yeah, he's running the internet, and that's why it's shitty today. Say it again.
Yeah, good thing not on RuPaul's Drag Race, so they have to be like, you have to say it again, but like say her name this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say her drag name. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so to answer your question, like what would I do today, like right now when I'm feeling those triggers?
Yeah, let's say like if you have like do you have body image triggers? What question one, and like two, if you do, how do you deal with them?
I do. I think my biggest body image trigger for recently has been when I see people with that quote unquote perfect physique on social media, and they're posting their perfect photos, or I even see that like someone just liked a photo and now it's showing up on my feed because someone liked it, and I now know that that's a trigger for me, and it sends me into a bad headspace where like I will straight up look down at myself and do like the pinch your stomach thing. And like I've done that so many times, kind of like to what Tiffany was saying earlier, where people are like, are you fucking crazy? Like no, like, don't do that. Like, that's not, like, it's all in your head, da da da. And I'm like, but in my head, it's so real. And like in that moment, I'm really being like really fucking hard on myself. So I've now learned that seeing those types of pictures of, I don't know if it's something that I'm striving for or just something that really triggers me, I have to like unfollow those accounts or mute those accounts or kind of like reformatting my social media.
Yeah, totally. I like, I totally understand like where you're coming from, because like I had to like on my Instagram, I had to like completely like unfollow all those accounts. And like, I mean, I still follow a few because there's some that are really cute, but like, like wanted to stop feeling bad about myself. So it's like, it's all like the really coupley accounts where like people are like, ooh, this is my boyfriend, girlfriend, lover. And then like all the wrestle freaks.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what they sound like.
That's what they sound like. And like, because like I see that and I'm like, and I just, I there's a part of me that wants that, but also a part of me that just wants silence. And I just like turn the social media things off so that I can have that silence. Yeah. So how about you, Tiffany?
How about me? Triggers and stuff? Well, I don't know if it comes to body image or not. Like when it comes to clothing, I don't. There are certain clothes that I like and some clothes that I don't like, and most of the clothes that I like are nice and baggy. Because I just feel comfortable. Like, I feel more comfortable in them. And especially when doing drag, for instance, I don't do any of the tight kind of like bodysuit crotchy sort of thing, right? Like I don't want you seeing above my middle thigh. I don't want to expose any of that. Never, ever. In my grave you can do that. In my grave. just have the lower part of my casket as like plexiglass. There we go. Just like, put me in the cooter patch, whatever you want. Anyway, it's just what I feel comfortable with. I don't know if that's tied to body. It might be tied to body image. I have to admit that. But I'm also at a point where I'm just going to accept that. Like, I'm not. It's not. If it did cause me stress, it's like putting it on and then wearing it, and I'm like, well, I don't feel comfortable in this. I'm going to change it. And I'm totally comfortable with making that decision too. Like, if you don't feel comfortable, it's not a good mindset, really, right? You should just be wearing something that you're comfortable in. And if it happens to be a harness where you're showing off your little poo poo, like, go right ahead, girl. Go right ahead and do it. Fembots.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Empowers.
I think we have to feel confident in our bodies the way that we need to feel confident. I think that is different for everybody. And I also think that, just like trying to encourage a healthy body image in yourself to boost your own self-esteem is so important. And there's definitely ways that I know there's different ways that people do that. Some people go to the gym and work out, really try to do it that way. Some people I've heard people talk in the mirror and be like, this is what you need to do. There's probably many other ways as well, but are there any ways that you guys try to do that for yourselves? I'll start with you, Shane. Oh, she's gonna lose her wig soon enough.
The name.
I was gonna say, you get one more. You get one more time doing that.
You need to count them on this. Two.
Yeah, what's the show? What's the show? Like the X Factor, where it's the big red X.
Yeah. And it's 1X and 2X, 3 X's.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how let's start with you, Mercury. Are there any ways you try to encourage a healthy body image or healthy body and self-esteem in yourself?
So because we've been locked down and at home and with our thoughts for the last year, so I've had a lot of moments where I basically spent almost a whole day. It's felt like kind of beating myself up because I've been eating too much, quote unquote. So now I kind of catch myself when I realize I'm doing that, and I kind of start to think of all the positive things that are or the things that are around me that have nothing to do with my body. And I try to just kind of like put the blinders to it for a second and put myself into a better mood by like watching a funny video even, or this is going to sound so self-centered, but I will watch a video of like an old drag performance where, you know, I do a wig reveal and the crowd goes crazy, or, you know, I do a high kick and it looks good. And it's just like things that have nothing to do with what my body looks like, and more so about like, okay, but you're still a good performer. I'm still here and I'm still healthy, and you know, just try to go down the list of all the things to be happy about. And then hopefully by the time I get to the bottom of that list, however long it may be, I've kind of forgotten why I'm in the bad mood about my body. And then once I'm in a better headspace, that's when I can be like, oh, maybe I'll do a workout tomorrow, and not feel like it's because I have to slim down or I have to change my body, more so to just be in a better mood, or just because I feel like I actually feel like doing it that day and not because I feel obligated to do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, sorry. Gonna be like coming with her answer, but yeah, I think it's like one of those things. Like looking at it, trying to keep positive about something is like super important. So you have to make sure, like, you know, because like a lot of it affects our mood, and like, you know, as long as we make sure that your mood isn't dipping, then like hopefully you're, like, how you see yourself and how you view yourself onto it as well. How about you? How about you, Tiffany? How do you deal? Like, how do you give yourself positive body image reinforcement every day, or every other day, or every month, or every once in a while?
That's probably something I'm lacking in, because I can't think of anything that I'm doing to help boost my body image, like my personal body image. I like to think of health. Like when we're talking about body types and stuff like that, I like to kind of measure my health and my being able to do physical activities and stuff like that. So during COVID, I was a little upset with myself that walking up my own staircase got me a little winded. And I'm like, okay, we got to work on that.
And you're like, is that the coronavirus, or is that something else?
Coronavirus. What is that? Is that the lungs falling out of my? I don't know what's going on here. But and then I take steps with that. It was really interesting when I think about physical activity and stuff during coronavirus, because I would just walk to work every day, and then walk back, and then. Even that is like you don't do that for, let's say, 2 weeks or something like that, and then you're like, you do it and you're like, wow, because the grocery store is right across from my work too. I have to admit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just important to think about those kind of activities, and thank you. I gotta think of some of those. I gotta think about some of those other good positive things.
Yeah, but I think you brought up a really good point where, like, as long as you know that you're healthy, then like you're doing fine. And I think that's like super important for people to realize that, not, you know, like, as long as you're healthy, that is the most important thing. Your health is all that matters at the end of the day, because, you know, having chiseled abs and like huge arms is not going to matter if you're like smoking 6 packs of cigarettes a day. Like, I don't know, that's a bad example, but like, you know, it's like health is the main reason for everything. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I think it's important to remember that good health transcends what your body looks like.
Yes.
Right? Like, people think that overweight or out of shape people, instantly that means that you're not healthy, and it's like not the case, because this guy who goes to the gym but then does several, you know, in their party scene, it's like, okay, well, are you the healthy one, or is this person the healthy one who has the better diet, or, you know, who does the physical activity and just their body doesn't look the same way yours does, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like health, like, yeah, I think that's beautifully said. That was very well said. I like, and for my own way that I like to reinforce my body positivity is that, you know, if you can't beat it, just like work it and accent it and like make it there, because like at the end of the day, like you need to like appreciate yourself. I remember when I was young and I hated my ass because I thought it was too big. And now I wear pants that specifically make my ass look bigger, and all the gays love it. So
and look at her now.
I'm walking down the street, like, so it's like
she's Miss New Booty.
If you have a big brow, like put some glitter on it. If you have like huge lips, put like a really bright shade of lipstick on it. Like just do those things for yourself. Like like appreciate that you're different in those ways. So yeah, live that way.
Oh my! Oh yeah, girl, yeah. Oh my god!
I think one quick thing I want to add, just kind of into the things that we tell ourselves about kind of boosting our self image or our body image and stuff like that, is we need to eat. Humans need food. And I have struggled with this since I was like 16 or 17, being like, I'm just not going to eat. And being like, that's not the answer. And then kind of like seeing food as something that fuels you and something that gives you energy and something that gets you through your day, and not this thing of like, oh, if I eat this, I'm going to have to do this. Or if I eat too much of that, that means next week I'm going to have to eat that. And it's like stripping all of that back that I have kind of picked up over the years, and be like, not afraid of food, if that's the word, or like, you know, always worried that the food I'm eating or the amount that I'm eating is going to have a negative impact on me, and changing that to be like, no, this is nourishing me, this is protecting me, this is getting me ready to get through the day. And thinking that way is something that is new to me, but I think has helped a lot. Yeah. I just wanted to slide that one in.
I agree. And I would also like to add that, like, we are 3 white-ish cis males. I say white-ish because I'm mixed race, but that has white in it. But I'm white passing. So, but like, you know, it's a lot different for people that, you know, might be transgendered and like, or like even females, because like getting misgendered because of the way you look is a type of body image, like dysmorphia in itself. So it's like, I think a lot of people have a hard time with that, and like I can't speak to that. I don't think, I'm not sure if any of us really can. But like, it's, you know, there are other issues around body image in the community. So I think it's important to like realize that, and like definitely like, you know, find voices that can like teach you more about that, because it's, we need to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's definitely nothing I could speak to about that, because like, you know, if you coming to identity and stuff like that, and you have some breasts but you identify as male and stuff like that, I can't imagine you know, what you have to do, and that is a bit difficult, and I can imagine. I can only empathize.
I think the closest thing that I can come to with that is my non-binary identity that I've kind of picked up or kind of started to express over the last year. However, I am cis passing because I still have facial hair and I still have body hair and I still have these things that people gender me as male, when, you know, you're trying to live kind of somewhere in the middle. So it's kind of one of those things that when you do get gendered for something as small as, you know, having facial hair, or something as large as either having or not having a specific genitalia, that is something that, you know, transcends most people's experiences, right? Yeah. Because that is so specific to that person, right?
Well, ladies, I'm going to ask some questions now. Because we're talking about, you know, body image and all that kind of stuff. And I just keep wanting to bring it back to drag, because, you know, that's the only reason why people really watch this program, is just to see the different types of drag out there. You know,
drag,
basic, medium, and best. drag, basic, medium, and best. So, ladies, and everyone in between, do you modify your body for drag? So, like, other than makeup and like a wig, like, do you add breasts, hips, cinch the waist, shave the face, shave the body, nails? Oh, I remember nails. There was nails somewhere. Oh, so Mercury, obviously.
What's that song? Nails, hair, hips, heels, head, shoulders, knees, toes. No, yeah. I do, and I have kind of tried a bunch of different things over the years. I've been doing drag for 6 years, and I think every year the body changes somehow. Because at the beginning, I didn't do a thing. I didn't have a pad. I didn't have a boob. I shaved. I didn't even put on nails. Sometimes I didn't even put on eyelashes. And that was what I was doing. Yeah. That was my tea. That was my drag. And then I started padding, and I got hip pads, and I was like, hello. And then I was like, okay, this is kind of giving me the illusion I'm going for. And so then I started putting in chicken cutlets to give bosoms. And I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. And then I started cinching too. And I was like, oh, look at this body. But then I realized I could not perform.
Yep.
All that. Let's just say this. Drag, when you have all of it on, is already a little bit hard to do what you see the likes of, the Drag Race girls and the local girls do. When you have a corset on and it is chopping you off from here to your hips and pushing everything from the middle up and down, and then you have boobs on and everything else, oh my God, you can't breathe. It's heavy. You're sweating because most of it is plastic. And at one time, I was doing a show in Kingston. I think the song was Bad Romance, and I was doing floor work, and one of my chicken cutlets flew right out. And I was like,
free the birds, free the birds.
This is a free range chicken. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'll just throw the other one out as well. And then from that point forward, I was like, okay, maybe I won't do this anymore. Maybe I'll just like do a contour with makeup. And then I also stopped cinching. And I started using shapewear, like Spanx and that kind of thing, because you can move a lot more. I found that was a much better experience. But yeah, that was my kind of, and that's where I've landed now. Is I have hips, I contour, and if it's a photo shoot, I'll put the cutlets in. But if it's a performance, I won't.
My God! Between the two of us, we make a full-figured woman. All right.
Yeah.
Fetus. What about you?
Build a queen.
Build a queen.
Well, as you both know, I've drag for like a very long time prior to this video podcast.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. But when I was doing drag, I was very much like, you have to. I was doing the padding. I was doing the corsets, and I wasn't necessarily doing them all together all the time, because there's some outfits that don't need it, and there's some outfits that you wear that don't really do. And I was very selective about the outfits that like I would choose to dance in, because I knew that like I was not going to be able to dance well in a corset, but I could dance well in padding. But like I would need padding and a corset for like a beautiful cinched piece that I was just like walking around in as I like the dress I was wearing for like Miss Kingston Pride. So I think it's one of those things where yes, sometimes, and yes, you don't. But I also really appreciate a girl that just, does not want to do it. Like, there are different kinds of women out there, and people need to realize this, that, like, drag can be...
Well, that's not what you said to me all those years ago when she
wrong.
started out.
You also need building blocks and learning, so you might as well start with the basics and then go from there.
Yeah.
Well, how about you, Tiffany? What about yourself? What about you?
Well, I do, the modification up here. I don't do any modifications down there. I like when I first started doing drag, at least in my circles, they weren't doing the hip padding at all, and now I'm like, why would I want to put like pillows on my tuchus and not be able to feel a thing? And I'm already wearing a whole bunch of lycra underneath just to keep everything together. So I'm like, I don't need any more heat absorption sort of thing like that.
You wouldn't notice, but when you death drop, the padding is great.
Yes.
Oh, is that how that works? Is that how that works? See,
that is why we started using couch foam all those many years ago after the first death drop happened and somebody broke their coccyx because they landed on it and just shattered. But fast forward to now, and it's literally like I went to like a fabric store and got this like huge foam block that is supposed to, I think, be used for upholstery. And I got a little carver and, did the, as famously coined by Latrice Royale, you do the shape of Africa. And that is a standard hip pad. And yeah, when you land on your butt, whether it is intentional or not, it cushions the blow.
well, maybe I'll have to think about that. But
For the several death drops and stunts and tricks and flips that you do, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my. Oh, goodness sakes. There we go. Oh my goodness sakes, ladies. So modifying. So you kind of talked about modifying, and then you found your own personal kind of drag with these kind of modifications. But do you feel judged at all with how you're modifying your body for like maybe even, God forbid, a little bit of peer pressure perhaps out there, that there's like a general style that is kind of expected of a drag queen? Mercury.
110%, like without question, yes. Because the reason why I started doing all the padding in the first place was because I was hearing comments from people be like, oh, she's so flat, or oh, she doesn't have any shape, or that costume is too loose, or yeah, I heard what you had said, Tiffany, after that first show. I heard what you had said.
I was like, what? Girl doesn't have any boobies in. What's going on?
But she got the most tips of the night. So, props to your mama. No. Although it did stem from me being like, oh, these people are talking shit, it did get me to a place where I was actually very happy with the image or the look I was putting out. And I don't want to say I was doing it for other people, but at the same time, we're drag queens, we're performers, we're entertainers. We do what we think is going to be received well by the crowds and by the public, or by, the audience, right?
Yeah. If I can,
yeah.
If I can paraphrase then, so your experience then, like you tried them all and then you found what you kind of really liked. So that I take that from that story. Venus, what did you feel judged at all? Like, did you feel the pressure? Did you feel the pressure?
My first time in drag, I was in a drag competition, so yes, I did feel judged, and there was a lot of pressure. But I guess I wanted to create something, and to me, drag was like about sculpting as well as it was about design, and like for all things I really liked being like little. Drag is a costume to me, so I always really liked that aspect of it. I don't think I necessarily felt pressured to do it because I think I really wanted to do it, but maybe I don't know. I think I was pressured to go into drag the first time by someone in this chat and someone in this group too. But that's just how things happen. We
will get to the bottom of this. We will get to the bottom of these.
But yeah, I think there was I don't think I necessarily felt pressure to do anything a certain way. I always think I had as I was talking about earlier, I always felt the need to proportion clothes on my body in a way that made me feel presentable. out of drag. So I think like it was only natural to do it in drag. And I don't know if that's necessarily a healthy thing, but like yeah, that's just how I am, and that's just how it is for me.
Well, thank you, ladies, thank you, ladies. So, um, so people have tried the hip padding, but I haven't tried the hip padding. I hate the idea. I'm like, why am I putting pillows under my tuchus? I don't understand. But Michelle Visage herself, RuPaul's Drag Race, she judges all the girls. She's like, she wants to see those hip pads on every single one of those girls. So, should I? Mercury.
But, well, see, okay, well, have you ever had a hip pad on? Like, ever? Or no?
Nope.
I mean, I think that, and this is about your personal journey. It's about you and your journey. I think trying it out one time and just seeing what it looks like on you, and just like having the illusion, like if you never experienced it, like kind of like to myself, like I never experienced hip pads, then I was like, well, these people want me to, so I guess I will. And I was doing it kind of begrudgingly, but then I did it and I was like, oh. And so, you know, maybe not even necessarily to adopt into your drag style, but just to kind of know what it looks like, or know what you look like, or that type of thing.
Venus, should I do the hip pads or should I not?
At the end of the day, you should do whatever you feel comfortable with, Tiffany. I think that like hip pads are fun, and you can definitely change your silhouette and like shake it up and like, you know, try something new. But I don't think you should be obligated to wear hip pads, because I think, you know, you have your drag and you've been doing your drag like this for the last 50 years. So like, so like, yeah, like, you know, do it. This is you. This is you.
Did she say 5-0 or 1-5? I couldn't understand that one.
5-0.
Yeah, so I think it's just like, you know, it's fun to change it up and like do like something else. But at the end of the day, that's not what makes you a drag performer, Tiff. It's like, it's your enthusiasm, your charisma, your uniqueness, nerve, and talent up on stage, and like, you know, just getting up there and like making people laugh and have a good time and being a good host and like, you know, being that entertainer. And if it's in hip pads, if it's not, like, you know, I think people are still going to walk away with a great experience.
All right, ladies. All right, this has been a very thorough conversation. We touched on topics that I you know, never really thought I'd ever think about. I got to think about some of these things that we've just talked about. But that's the end of our program here. I'm going to throw it. So my name is Miss Tiffany Morgan, and this one in the middle.
My name is Mercury Wild.
And I am Venus de Rogue.
And you've been listening and watching The Rendezview. Isn't it fabulous? Yay! And I haven't, you know, tried to slice your throats yet. It's great. It's great.
Well, you did fully dip out on episode 3, but it's okay.
Yeah, missed opportunity. I'm so terribly sorry. You know, Betty Ford called and it was court ordered, so I had to go. You know, like they're like, oh, it's time for your court ordered, you know, session. Oh, okay.
Is that what we're calling the trade now? The court order sessions? Okay.
I've given up on that a long time ago. All right.
Head to our YouTube channel. Head to our Facebook channel. You can search them both up by searching The Rendez-View. We will have a website coming soon that will have all these episodes up for your viewing and listening pleasure. And you can search up the dolls on Instagram, except for Venus. She doesn't have an Instagram. You can search up Tiffany Morgan and Mercury Wild on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, I think, too. Right, Tiff?
Well, let's not go to the TikTok because I haven't figured that one out yet. I'd be like, how do I do this TikTok? I don't know how to do the TikTok. So.
If anyone wants to reach me, though, they can reach me through saying to Mercury, my secretary, and she will deliver me.
Yeah, don't blame me if the messages come a month late.
There we go.
Mercury is delayed.
Well, ladies, it's been a slice, but I gotta get some beauty sleep.
It's been a hoot and a howl. It's 9 o'clock, so Tiffany has to go and hang herself in the closet upside down. So,
yep, I need that blood transfusion. So, mwah.
I need to put some clothes on.
And happy Pride Month. Happy we're 3 days in, or when you listen to this, we're going to be 5 or 6 days in.
Happy Pride Month.
We are kicking off Pride Month, and we will have a special Pride edition of the Rendez-View coming your way in 2 weeks from now. And in the meantime, make sure you catch the Kingston Pride live stream on Tiffany's Twitch channel. As mentioned at the beginning of the show, because we'll be talking about it.
Exactly. Search for Tiffany Morgan on Twitch. I think it's twitch.tv/Tiffany Morgan. There we go. All right.
Until next time.